Welcome everybody. My name is Ken Murphy. I'm the Director General of the Law Society, and it's my great privilege to welcome you all here, the newly qualified solicitors and all their relations and friends and supporters who are participating in this event. Welcome. But where are we? I'm here in the Law Society building in Blackall Place. You're not. That's the unfortunate reality we're dealing with in the latter part of 2020. You should be here. But where is here? The Law Society headquarters in Blackall Place, formerly the King's Hospital School, opened in 1783 as such, was acquired by the Law Society in 1970 and has become our proud headquarters ever since. It is one of the great Georgian buildings of Dublin. The room, this great chamber where I'm standing at the moment, was formerly the chapel of the King's Hospital School. It's now the President's Hall of the Law Society of Ireland. Above my head is an Evie Hone stained glass window. The great Irish stained glass artist depicts the resurrection. But here in the President's Hall in Blackall Place is where traditionally, ever since the late 70s, every solicitor receives their parchment. The piece of paper, the parchment that confirms that they have achieved their ambition through years of study to become a solicitor, to be on the roll of solicitors. You should be here. You and your family and friends should all be here. We all know why. COVID-19, since March of this year, these kind of events can't happen. It's very, very frustrating, but it's sadly the case. However, you are here in a way. This event is taking place, and we are celebrating your achievement on becoming members of the profession. It's a special day. It's a celebratory day. I remember, will probably never forget, the day that I sat in this chamber and I walked up and the President of the Law Society handed me my parchment and I became a proud member of the solicitor's profession. That is happening for you today, regardless of the fact that you're not physically here. It is a very special place, the Law Society. It's a very special event. And much in all, as we're talking about the history and the building and the generations that have gone before you, really when new members of the profession become new members of the profession, it is actually about the future. You are the future of the profession, the baton of the profession, and it's what Michelle OBoyle, the President of the Law Society, will speak about, the obligations in relation to the independence, the service of the public interest, the service of justice, the service of the rule of law. They will become, they are now, your responsibilities. So I'm going to invite the President of the Law Society, Michelle OBoyle, to say a few words, but I just want to remark about the fact that it is a pity you can't be here, but at some time in the future, I want you to come back into this hall and remember the day that virtually, through technology, through the technology the profession embraces because it's the key to the future, you were, in a way, here. So, in conclusion, as the profession's baton passes to you, the profession's future, I urge you to remember the great phrase which adorns the coat of arms of the Law Society of Ireland, Veritas Vincet, the truth prevails, because truth and justice are intertwined. And they become your values, the values of the profession of public service, justice and the rule of law, of which you will hear more now from, and it's my great pleasure to introduce the President of the Law Society of Ireland to address you, Michelle OBoyle, President of the Law Society.
Today is a very special day. It is the day that marks the completion of years of dedicated study and training, which has earned you the right and the privilege to have your name inscribed on the roll of solicitors. Congratulations. Privilege brings a professional status, but also it brings with it an enduring responsibility. Hold that thought. Distinguished guest, President of the High Court, Ms. Justice Mary IRvine, members of the Council of the Law Society, my new colleagues, your families and friends joining you from your homes, your offices, from the four corners of Ireland and right across the globe. Welcome to the President's Hall here in the Law Society of Ireland. It is on this campus that you embarked on your professional training that you met and made new lifelong friends and colleagues, and where you expected to receive your parchments, proudly surrounded by your family and friends. None of us could have anticipated the turn of events that has, without warning, entered our lives, that has altered the course of our plans beyond recognition. This turn of events brings into sharp focus that we cannot take anything for granted, and that we must adapt and adjust. As President of the Law Society, I am proud of the quality and diversity of lawyers who are qualifying from our law school here at Blackhall Place, and in particular, how you have adapted and adjusted to the new way of delivering our essential service. Whilst the depth and duration of COVID-19 remains unclear, what is clear is that the quality of our lawyers is such that you are in demand nationally and internationally, and the work is not confined to traditional areas of private practice, rather, increasingly, as in-house counsel, valued government employees, critical members of management teams, academia, and other positions, where your exceptional quality of legal skills and training are seamlessly transferable. It matters not how you started your journey to qualification, whether you are from a legal background or not, whether you come from a small rural practice, as I do, or a large city firm. Today, you are all equal, and today is the start of your professional careers. It is therefore an opportunity to pause and reflect on the profession which you have now entered. An independent legal profession is an essential component of democracy. Independence of government, independence of commercial interests, and independence of the media. This independence is not a privilege for lawyers, rather, it is the right of citizens. It is vital that the public, to whom we owe a duty, has confidence in the independence and integrity of the legal profession. As newly qualified lawyers, you have the ability to use the law for your client's purposes, and very often against someone else's interests. And yet, you must use this knowledge within the system of laws that society has developed. I refer, of course, to the rule of law, a phrase very regularly used, but perhaps very rarely reflected upon. The rule of law is, of course, the principle that our laws apply to all, fairly and equally. That no one is above the law, and it requires the highest standards of due process and procedural fairness. The rule of law cannot exist without a transparent legal system. You are now the guardians and champions of the rule of law that our society is founded upon. And as lawyers, you have a special responsibility, whatever your area of practice, to uphold its principles. Upholding the rule of law demands expertise, experience, and commitment. As guardians of the law, lawyers play a vital role in the preservation of society. Today, I challenge you, as guardians of the rule of law, to commit to being stewards of justice. What does this mean, you ask? Well, over the last number of years, You have acquired skills and training which give you a unique ability to make a meaningful difference and to have an impact on society. Receiving your parchment today gives you access to work and opportunities that are denied to so many others. As a solicitor, you have a right of audience in every court in the land and the right to carry out many forms of transactional work reserved exclusively for solicitors. Making the law work requires common sense and good judgment. You have these skills in abundance. Use them wisely. Stewards of justice give options to their clients and advise them of what is right and within the law. It is your duty to represent your client diligently, with independence, objectively, confidentially, and with impenetrable integrity. Truly independent advice is objective advice based on the disclosed facts and your understanding of the law. Your advice must never be subject to outside influence. An important feature of the solicitor-client relationship is the knowledge that a solicitor will never disclose the instructions received from a client. This confidentiality, or privilege as we know it, is the right of the client, not the right of the lawyer. And never ever forget that this right can only be waived with the client's express authority. You must never permit your own interests or your duties to others to compromise your work for a client. Integrity requires the highest ethical conduct on your part, and that integrity must be visible. Never fall short of these core principles. If you do so, you place your professional reputation at risk. As lawyers, we spend years building our professional reputation. To quote Bolt, reputation is like water held in your cupped hands. Open your fingers, it's gone, and can never be recovered. Remember that. The law is indeed a noble calling. Never forget what our calling is about. It is not about winning or losing. It is not about telling a client what he or she wants to hear. It is about finding real solutions to real problems. It is about ensuring justice is done and seen to be done. As lawyers, we must strive to ensure we do everything we can to protect the vulnerable and disempowered in our society. You all recall from your constitutional law training the dictum of the then Chief Justice, Mr. Justice O'Higgins, in the 1976 case of Healy and Donoghue, which states, if the person charged does not know of his right, he cannot exercise it. If he cannot exercise it, his right is violated. Be mindful of that dictum. On the 30th of October, 1992, I recall very clearly sitting here in the President's Hall, eagerly waiting to throw away my L-plates as a trainee solicitor and to finally sign my name as solicitor. I never contemplated on that day that I would have the honour and the privilege to be appointed President of the Law Society. I am the fourth female president in 150 years and the first female president with a practice outside of Dublin. I hope that one day one of you will have the honour and the privilege to lead this profession as I do today. Having acknowledged your achievements and highlighted the world of opportunities that lies ahead of you, I would like you to pause and reflect for a moment on your family and friends who are tuning in from around the world, who have selflessly helped you in so many ways along your academic journey. I'm sure that many of them are hoping that today is the last day that you will be on the family payroll. On a lighter note, make time for each other. Look out for each other. In an increasingly competitive world, it is essential that you find and maintain work-life balance. What we focus on the outside reflects how we feel on the inside. Outside of your responsibility as lawyers, remember you have a life. You have family and friends, and they must remain central to your life. Some of you in this virtual room are likely to be talented musicians, talented athletes, or perhaps artists or playwrights. You should continue to enjoy and participate in those activities. As human beings, there is no reflection more challenging than reflecting on a life unlived. Do not let your work become your life. If you do so, you risk falling into ill health. In a generation where mindfulness is on everybody's lips, practice it. A profession is a collective effort, properly harnessed to serve a greater purpose. You are now part of that collective effort. As a profession and as a society, we must continue to rigidly adhere to public health advice and hope that our collective actions and our collective responsibility will be enough to once again flatten the curve and know that one day we will all have an opportunity to congregate together here in Blackhall Place. I wish each one of you a happy and fulfilling career, whatever road it takes. Finally, as lawyers, always remember you must listen with curiosity, speak with honesty, and act with impenetrable integrity. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, President of the High Court, Miss Justice Mary IRvine.
Good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to have been given the opportunity to say a few words at this important ceremony, because never before have the two arms of the legal profession been closer and more interconnected. This year, for the first time, patents of precedence have been granted to a substantial number of solicitors, permitting them to practice in the courts of Ireland in the role of senior counsel. We also have an increasing number of solicitors being appointed as members of the judiciary, and as the number of solicitors practicing as senior counsel increases, I expect the number of judges appointed to the superior courts from the solicitor's profession will grow year on year. Whilst barristers undoubtedly play a vital role when it comes to the administration of justice overall, the fact of the matter is that the lion's share of legal work is carried out by solicitors in this country without any involvement or assistance from the bar, or indeed the judiciary for that matter. I have always maintained that the quality and integrity of those appointed to be judges of the district court is just as important as the quality and integrity of those appointed to the highest courts in the land, because the plain fact of the matter is that the greatest interface between the citizens of this country and the administration of justice takes place at district court level. And it is the experience of those will find themselves before the district court that will shape their view of whether or not the administration of justice is fit for purpose. For most people, what is or is not done in the High Court or Supreme Court will never impact on their lives, or if it does, they will never appreciate that fact. In the same way, it is the solicitor's profession, much more so than the bar, that bears the burden of supporting those in society who find themselves needing legal advice and assistance. And while for some solicitors there will of course be the glamorous corporate clients, the vast majority of solicitors will spend their professional lives dealing with clients who, for whatever reason, find themselves unable to manage their affairs at a particular point in time. The problem may be routine, a will may need to be drawn, or a conveyance completed. But in many instances, the assistance of a solicitor will be required in respect of something crucial to the client's well-being, or that of their business or family, and in providing the best possible service to their clients in those difficult times. Solicitors are afforded a particularly unique opportunity to make a serious contribution, not only to the administration of justice, but to the welfare of society as a whole. And these are not just plaudits or platitudes delivered lightly by me to provide some sort of artificially positive tone at this parchment ceremony. It is a wonderful thing to be able to say that in my 25 years or more in practice as a barrister, not once did I have a bad experience when dealing with a member of the solicitor's profession. And I say that not only in respect of the hundreds of solicitors who would have briefed me over the years, but also in respect of the equal number of solicitors who never briefed me. Reliable, trustworthy, hard-working, and honest are all terms that spring to mind, and which I can confidently attribute to all of those with whom I had the pleasure of working over several decades. And my experience as a judge has been no different. Increasingly, solicitors are honing their skills as advocates, and in their engagement with the court, I have never found them wanting, either in terms of their conduct or advocacy capabilities. What is perhaps really quite remarkable is that for the number of solicitors in practice, how rare it is that a solicitor will be found to have fallen short of their professional obligations and to have let down their client and their profession. A little homework done for the purposes of making this short address reveals that there are presently circa 21,000 solicitors on the roll of solicitors in Ireland. I'm not sure how many of that number are actually in full-time practice, but even assuming that there are somewhere in the region of 15,000 solicitors in practice, only a tiny percentage of those have ever seriously been called to account in respect of their professional conduct. As all of you here today know, one of the roles that I perform as President of the High Court is that I oversee the solicitor's profession when it comes to disciplinary matters. A solicitor can only be struck off or suspended or have restrictions placed upon their practice by an order of the High Court. And having asked my registrar to have a quick look through the recent High Court records, it would appear that the Society has only needed to invoke the court's jurisdiction in this regard on approximately 100 occasions over the last 3 years. So, assuming as I must that the Society is fulfilling its obligations in terms of investigating complaints of professional misconduct made against its members, it seems to me that the citizens of Ireland who find themselves in legal difficulties are and will hopefully continue to be in safe hands. Nonetheless, it must not be forgotten that solicitors enjoy a position which is both privileged and powerful when it comes to their relationship with their clients. Solicitors regularly get to handle large sums of money. They will often find themselves advising clients who are vulnerable and open to suggestion or indeed influence. Hence the importance that solicitors are people with principled standards who are trustworthy, ethical, and take seriously their responsibilities to the public, to the administration of justice, to colleagues, and to the profession as a whole. So in bringing this short address to a conclusion, in my role as President of the High Court, I want to remind you of what being a master of the rules stated about your professional obligations. Your obligation is to maintain the reputation of the solicitor's profession as, and I quote, one in which every member of whatever standing may be trusted to the ends of the earth. End of quotation. Now, I know that sounds like a big ask, but that is the standard to be expected of you and by which you will ultimately be held to account. So, having delivered that important message, all that is left for me to do is to wish you well in your chosen career. Thank you very much.
So we now turn to the presentation of prizes. Our first prize award is the Findater Scholarship, which is the highest overall mark achieved on both PPC courses. The winner is Aoife McDonagh. The Gallagher Shatter Prize is for the highest mark achieved in family and child law. The winner is Aoife McDonagh. The Professional Practice Conduct and Management Prize is for the highest award in that subject. Our winner, Aoife McDonagh. The Irish Society of Insolvency Practitioners Prize is for the highest mark achieved in insolvency. Our winner is Aoife McDonagh. We now turn to the presentation of parchments. Our first recipient is Aoife McDonagh. Molly Beecham. Rebecca Hassett. Gavin Thomas Murphy. Yvonne Dunn. Laura Prendeville. Jane O'Quigley. David Hennessy. Yvonne Kennedy. Ciara Brown. Linda Brannigan. Jessica Shaw. Maeve Brown. Neil O'Doherty. Nora Comey. Sorcha Murphy Kinder. Sean Ide Curran. Melanie McNally. Shani Stallard. Helen Murphy. Catherine Waldron Hayden. Ciara McLaughlin. Breen Riley. Niamh Diskin. John Morley. Mark Murphy. Vanessa Lawler. Aina Malone. Teresa Dunn. Aisling Riley. Aoife Conway. Brian Kelly. Nadij Seema. Kevin Flood. Hannah Coley. Leanne Helen Grace. Virginia Petrushka. Barbara Joyce Bulger. Kate Doyle. Emma Finn. Niamh Glavin. Ross Milan. Neil Dolan. Niamh McHugh. Sorcha Nolan. Andrew Barr. Michael Derry Hunt. Grace Farrell. Sinead Lardner. Sorcha Cusack. That concludes the formal part of this evening's ceremony. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, President of the High Court, for those inspirational words. Thank you also, President of the Law Society, T.P. Kennedy, Director of Education. And I want to thank you, in conclusion, my new colleagues, for participating in this. I hope you will come here to the President's Hall in Blackwall Place someday and, in a way, relive this event. You will look and see the words Veritas Vincet on the coat of arms on the President's corridor, just down the corridor from me here. I want to thank all of you. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that this event isn't over for you, that you'll have a little well-earned family, friends celebration, because you certainly should. You've certainly earned it. Thank you all for participating, and I'll see you. Bye.